first of all, you've got to sort of look at, where Thiess has come from and where we've got to go. So, I mean, Thiess is a global services provider for the mining industry. We partner with our clients. The idea is to deliver sustainable solutions for both open cut and underground, and that's globally. It's across, Australia, Asia, the Americas, and we've just ticked over 90 years operating, and it's across multiple commodities, geologies, environments, and cultures. So, as sort of the global leader in mining services, we're uniquely placed. We have a responsibility to contribute, towards the future of mining, and that's both, low cost, low carbon footprint, as we sort of work towards the energy transition. So, in order for us to remain competitive for the next 90 years, we really had to look to the future and implement technology that's going to support our clients in the industry more broadly. Part of our broader strategy was to implement, to be the first mining services, first contracting services company to implement autonomous surface mining equipment. So, over the last few years, we have gone about setting up a greenfield mine, open cut coal mine in the Bowen Basin, and we operate autonomous haul trucks and drills there. So that was a global first, operating both drills and haul trucks on the same network. And really, the only viable option for us was to go with the 4G network. So, when we compare it to other common use cases, there's a requirement for constant connectivity. There's challenges around, the ever-changing topography, and also just the coverage requirement as well. So, the RF plan's ever-changing. With each digger relocation, the coverage, needs to adjust accordingly while not impacting adjacent circuits. It's a 24/7 operation, and there's really no room for error there. It's still pretty surreal to watch a haul truck carrying over 300 tons drive past with an empty cab. So I think, sort of to bring to the audience's attention, one key safety feature of the haul trucks is to be able to drive defensively. They predict the path of all surrounding machines, both manned and autonomous vehicles. And the requirement for the autonomous assets is to be able to send and receive key data like speed, direction, and location on a high frequency basis. While the functionality is phenomenal, like any fixed plant, everything's designed to fail safe, for a technical term. So it stops. So when we do lose comms, the trucks and the drills stop. So our private LTE network protects us from that poor operational outcome and poor safety outcome. So on average, our trucks, only stop about once in a 24-hour period. Given the size, the physical size of the operation, and how difficult the operational constraints are, that's a really, really good outcome, compared to industry benchmarks. I guess the level of consistency, is pretty unheard of, given that the harsh environments that we operate in. And mostly stoppages are actually just due to operate, to the conditions. So, qualify it with a statement. It's sort of big. You look at the trailer moves themselves, right? They sit in, hard to reach locations. They're often set up, in locations that are inaccessible. So it's difficult to set up, pads and footings that, can endure wet weather events. So, a lot of our stoppages just happen, if there's rain, a trailer will lose alignment for a little bit, and we'll go and sort that out. So, you've got to balance the cost, and the effort. So, with our current performance, we're, extremely happy. And I guess it's really, the quality of the network that our partner Aqura has provided that's unlocked a lot of these additional features for us. So, as part of our autonomous haulage solution, most of our light vehicles have, tough pads mounted inside them. in addition to, autonomous haulage and autonomous drills, what that does for us is the additional headroom in our network has actually allowed our teams to use Microsoft Teams in pit. That provides traceability on communication and between teams. It provides access to resources such as maintenance manuals and procedures, and even production reporting. For us, really, Aqura has been able to help us navigate, a complex, operational technology environment. There's additional links between our Nokia core and our CAT equipment. Being the first operation to globally run the drills and the trucks on an LTE network, there were hurdles, but they helped us navigate it successfully by translating our business requirements into a COS prioritization that maximized our business objectives of maximum machine uptime and with a pretty hard latency cap. So all of that ordering of traffic has, allowed us to achieve the benchmark that we've got now. I suppose, given the dynamic nature of the topography, they're also able to help us, configure our hardware and optimize our processes so that we're able to, optimize the bandwidth through each eNode B. And at the core, Thiess is a mining contractor. So at the time, we didn't necessarily have all of the in-house expertise to be able to get the network to perform at such a high standard. So not only has Aqura worked with us to get an excellent result, but they've been excellent partners. They've taken us along the journey and helped us build a deeper understanding of how private LTE works and the nuances of what makes it work for us on site. And the value of that really shouldn't be underestimated. So by being able to build some knowledge in-house, we've been able to work more collaboratively with them. And they've even got us to the point where we can self-serve some of our less complex troubleshooting. So, extremely handy partner to have. When we look at autonomous haulage at the moment, it's provided us real-time visibility of fleet. In real terms, it's allowed us to manage key operational metrics such as utilization rate. If you look forward to the future, I guess a lot of the further optimization is actually around the mine plan and making sure that we optimize our stripping ratios and grade. So, we've already got all of the LiDAR on the equipment. We've already got, an ample amount of data. If we're in a position where we could implement, 5G with millimeter wave, you could look at using a lot more of that data in real time to build a better understanding of how the operation progresses day to day. Currently drones are available to do this at sort of a weekly level, but it isn't practical on a shift by shift basis. And, success in mining operations, it's a team game. So the more methods that we can provide to facilitate those fact-based conversations, the better. Yes, I guess to summarize, it's about making sure that there's no waste in the mining process. You can optimize your equipment utilization, but if you're moving the wrong material or moving too much, waste material, then those losses sort of, can go unseen. So it's really just about making sure that, you're working towards a position where you're moving as little material as possible, and therefore going to have sort of the lowest, carbon footprint for the end material that you've mined.